All right. Hi, guys. Welcome to Job Search Success 2018, getting a job now. I'm going to wait a couple seconds, wait for everybody to get in. I wish I had more bandwidth to take you guys in. I know that we had a bit of a wait list, so a few more seconds. It's March. People start freaking out. January, you get excited. You think, I'm really going to ramp this up. It's going to be fantastic. February, you start thinking, wow, I've gotten some phone screens and that's about it. There's always something around the corner, it kind of seems, and it kind of seems like a tease in March. And you wonder, how am I going to ramp this up? How am I going to close? I'm going to show you. I'm going to take you through it. So bear with me. I'm going to take you through a bunch of stuff I think that you guys want to know. First, I'll explain who I am if you don't know who I am. I was a corporate staffing leader, a vice president of staffing or vice president global talent acquisition for some really big companies. You can see my bio on sucklessjobsearch.com. I've written a couple books. You've got access to my newest one, The Suck Less Job Search. You don't need to buy it on Amazon, although if you want to, by all means, go for it. But you can download it right off my site for free. It's a quick read. I'm not a great writer. It sounds, I write like I speak, so it sounds like me. Please enjoy it. I think it's a good primer for your search. I work for CBS TV nationally as a job search expert, and I was a terrible, miserable, terrible job seeker. You think, man, this guy was the ultimate staffing leader. He should be able to conduct a successful job search. I was not able to. I sucked at it. Why name my latest book? I think people, I offered this once before in a webinar. People want to know why I wrote it. I had a guy reach out to me. He waited 2 years. This guy used to run one of the big wireless companies, and he waited 2 years to reach out to me. He signed up for my alerts and my little techniques, my newsletter stuff. In 2 years, he waited to reach out to me. Why? Because he hated the title of my book. He thought it was dumb. And I completely understand that. I get it. But it was all based on this CFO I met in 2010. People were feeling a little bit better about the job market. I was on the phone with a lady who was referred to me. She was a CFO for Fortune 1000. She was a heavyweight. And she said to me, listen, I know who you are. I know what you're going to tell me. You're going to ask me about my brand, all that stuff. Yeah. I got it. What I want to know from you, and I'll hang up if you don't answer, I want to know how you're going to make this job search suck less. And I thought, well, if I write another book, that's the title. And that became the title of this book, The Suck Less Job Search. Again, here's the link. You can download it for free. Let's get started. Your questions. I always offer Q&A at the end of each webinar. Not this time. Julia asked me a great question. It seemed like a great place to start. I don't remember being asked this question. She's asked me, what was the biggest obstacle in my job search? Well, I had to go through a job search in 2001 during the dot-com bust. I ran staffing for a Fortune 500. It was a miserable job search. I was embarrassed to talk about it for years. And I think that a couple things plagued me. Number one, I had a common theme. Now, I made so many mistakes. I made way more mistakes than you'll ever make in your job search. But the one common theme that I had in my job search, which is the common theme that most people have in their own job search, is waiting. I used the worst resources. The job boards, they don't work, you know it. The headhunters, they wouldn't do anything for me. There was no money to be made off me. And by the way, that world is dead anyway. The network that I had spent so much time doing all these favors for all these guys and gals in my network, these C-suite people, Fortune 1000, they did nothing for me. I was a waiter. I waited in my job search. There's always something around the corner, always a new job posting, and I just waited and used the same strategies that just failed me. And I met with a CHRO, a Chief Human Resource Officer that was a boss of mine. She was a mentor. And she said, can you do me a favor? Can you take this piece of paper? She handed me a piece of paper. Take this pen, handed me a pen. Can you tell me how much money you made a month in your last job? Total, full benefits, everything, base bonus, all the perks, everything. And I wrote it down and I handed her this number. And she said, wow, that's the money you're throwing out into the street every week, because the strategies that you're using are the worst strategies. So instead of you getting a job, you're just handing that money to somebody else. You're stepping aside and allowing somebody to take the jobs that you should have. I know of a job that you didn't get. You didn't get this job because the person that got this job, you and I both know, and that person hustled. She used some pretty extraordinary techniques to get that job. And she talked about this person. I immediately understood who this person was. I remembered this person because I developed her. She worked for me. She was a corporate staffing leader that I developed. I started her career. And she ended up getting a job that should have been rightfully mine. I stepped aside so that she could have that job. That made me crazy. So waiting was the worst piece. And all the money I was losing because I wasn't taking action. I wasn't thinking about new strategies. Terrible. I hope that you're not making the same mistakes. Hopefully we can end that tonight. So thank you for sending your questions in about resumes, interviewing, real jobs, transitions. I will address this stuff at the end of the webinar, I promise. I'm going to talk about, well, I got a whole bunch of questions in the pre-webinar survey. I'll answer 5 of them at the end. But thank you, Julia, for asking me that question. Waiting. It was an expensive waiting game. Not taking massive action in my job search, what I was going to do differently the next day, that was a big mistake. This job search stuff is hard. It's not for the faint of heart. Most think it's easy. You just, you go on job boards, there are jobs, employment's low, and you just wait. Yeah, right. It doesn't work that way. Then there are those guys, these magic firms that charge up to, whoops, spelled up too wrong, $25,000. People use them. The guy that waited 2 years used them twice, spent $25K 2 times. He got swindled once and swindled again. Yeah, it was a tax write-off. All your job search stuff should be a tax write-off. Consult your accountant, of course. But $25K times 2? Insane. It's called desperation. I felt it. I spent money in my job search on Resume Gurus. I spent $1,500 on a resume. I didn't like it ever. It was a bad resume. I ended up figuring out the formula myself. Then I spent money on an executive marketing person, and that was $5,000. And then I spent money on this and this and that. I get it. I don't know that I got swindled, but I sure didn't get a lot out of what I was paying for. So I beg you, if you're struggling with this job search, reach out to me before you think about getting swindled by one of those guys. They're terrible, terrible shops. I'm a pragmatist. I believe in high probability stuff. I typically make sense to people. I know how to control your job search. I know how to get you hired. Read the book first, certainly. But if you need help, certainly reach out. Now, what I'm going to cover, you ending this job search like now, like right now, please. Yes. I'm going to talk about value, resume strategy, LinkedIn strategy, evergreen brand, how to get great jobs now. The most important part of your search. Well, this is mostly for mid-level executives and senior level executives. I like influencers. They're decision makers. We know who these people are. There are connectors, people that connect you to decision makers. They're important too. And then there's the influencer crowd. The influencer crowd, VCs, PEs, iBanks, large business law firms, large accounting firms, could be big consulting. How I got my next job after I lost my job at that big tech company, through a giant VC. I traded value to get value in return. They had an investment in a company. I was able to show them how I could help them with that investment, reap more money from their investment, be the adult in the room, something that they needed. I traded value to get value in return. I used local groups, LAVA, LA Venture Association, to meet these target VCs, and I used a group called Cal Fund. Just some examples of how I went local to access the influencer crowd. I'll get more into this in a second. It's kind of a non sequitur. I just always forget to tell this stuff, so I want to put up front. The influencer crowd, if you're looking for a mid-level or senior level executive job, super duper important. Success framework, value. I'm going to take you through how to be successful in your job search. There's a framework for it. Do you know? Do you know your unique value? Over 90% of the people I talk to, I have about 50 consultations a week with job seekers just like you. I ask them their value, and then I say, great. Do you think that you're offering the same value as others? No, Adam. This is unique. I do this different. I really do it. I fix stuff or I solve stuff. I do big deals. I do this thing. I do that thing. Yeah, because I talk to people that do what you do. And this sounds pretty basic to me. Let's go on LinkedIn and look. And I have them sometimes go on LinkedIn and look at their competition. What are they offering in terms of their value? How do they offer themselves in their professional summary? Well, they typically say the same thing you are. So are you sure that your value is strong? My value was not. I packaged myself as a staffing infrastructure leader. Do you know what that was? That was nothing. That was a null value. It put me on the bus to 300 other candidates like I was saying, pick me. Yeah, I'm just like these other guys, but pick me. That's a terrible value. You have to figure out a value that is stronger, really unique, be an educator, a provocateur of sorts. If people hear a value from you and it solves their pain, it aligns with their business mission or mandate, they lean in and go, wow, how do you do this? You win. Now, if you're wrong, you are just handing these jobs to your competition. I did it. That staffing infrastructure stuff, nobody cared about that. No CEO wakes up in the morning and thinks that they need that. I was essentially stepping aside and handing jobs to my competition. That made me crazy. Don't do that. So there's value creation in 3, maybe 4 ways. Number 1, you can look at your resume. If you have repetitive wins in your resume, things that feel really engaging, things that you figured out that are different, that can be part of your value. You can talk to former colleagues. I did this exercise. I reached out to 5 people I worked for, called them on the phone. Reached out to 5 people that worked for me, called them on the phone. What do you remember me as professionally? What did you think of me when we worked together? And they told me some really cool stuff, some stuff that I hadn't even thought about. I started building a value around it. I reverse engineer. So what I would do is I look at companies, figure out which companies do I want to work for. And I look at these companies and try to figure out their pain, their current business mission or mandate. That's really important. And I found out these companies were trying to achieve X. Could I help them with X? And I reverse engineered my value from that. Now, if you're really struggling with this stuff, you don't understand it, you can't figure out your value, you're not sure if it's right, you can talk to me. I'm an expert at developing value. As a matter of fact, I'll develop it for you, but I'll win buy-in from you. I'll make sure that it's rock solid for you and you believe in it. You can sell it. It feels good to you. And at a high level, it's the actions you take and the benefit for the organization. This is your product. It's your product now. In a job search, you have a product, best product, you. You have a customer. Your customer is the employer that would need you right now. The actions you take, the benefit for the organization. Your product targeted to a specific employer with a specific kind of pain. That's smart. This is the foundation of your search. If you don't have this dialed, it's very hard to get a great job. You can't get a job, but to get a great job, to get an amplified role, a really good role, hard to do unless you figure this stuff out. Now go validate. Do research on companies. Figure out if your value, your product aligns with their current business mission or mandate. I went back to the well. I went back to my network, the network that didn't engage these powerful Fortune 1000 people I did all these favors for. I went back to them. I said, hey, would you like this thing? Would you like this value? And I told them about my unique value. And I got a lot of no's. And then I got a couple, yeah, how do you do that? And then I was able to show them my operating system, the actions I take, and the benefit for the organization. And I started to convert job offers. These people that were, I was persona non grata to them. They did nothing. All of a sudden, some of them, again, not all, but some of them really wanted to know how I did this thing because I could solve a pain for them right now. Success framework, the resume. What it is and what it isn't. A resume is an arrow in your quiver. It's not the arsenal. People lean on it. They say to me, oh my gosh, can you look at my resume? Everybody wants me to look at their resume. Hey, it's not it. It's a thing, but it's not the thing. You're the thing. Your job is always to get in front of decision makers, influencers, and connectors. The resume is a really, really, really bad brochure because it can never fully represent you. And if you lean on your resume to make the case for the job that you're going for, you've decided that you're in a direct mail campaign, a really bad one. Here's a brochure of me, my resume. It doesn't represent everything, but hopefully you'll get it. And when I say you, I'm not talking about the decision maker. I'm talking about the assistant, that corporate recruiter, that gatekeeper. You do not want to sell a product to somebody's assistant. These are people I developed in my career as a vice president of staffing. I train these people. They're a sieve because 300 resumes average per every open job requisition. They have to be a sieve. So if you think that they're going to sit back and carefully consider your resume, oh, this is a great resume, I should really be a champion for this person, it doesn't work like that. Do not relegate yourself. Do not relegate yourself to a direct mail campaign job search, meaning do not lean on your resume to make the case for the job that you're going for. If you follow my methodology, you will now only send this resume out to decision makers, influencers, or connectors that would be predisposed to your brand, your unique value proposition right now. Don't send it to people where you don't know the value that they're looking for. You don't know your customer. The secret to a successful resume, to make it stick, to make people lean in and feel a need for you, and you may have heard this from me before, repetitive wins. So you got your brand. It's the actions you take and the benefit for the organization. Now you're going to show how this brand plays out in your resume. Resume is a history of experience. You can transition it into a powerful, sticky brand document that people can't take their eyes off of, that they can't forget. If you're repeating these wins, these brand-affirming wins, actions and results, actions and projected results, obstacles and solutions, over and over and over again, each one of your job entries. This is critical. If you do this, you offer these wins over and over and over again, each one of your job entries, and they align with your brand, you've developed a brand document. It will stick. You'll penetrate. Success framework strategy. Let's focus on job search math. This is the most important math equation in your job search besides figuring out how much money you lose every month from not going for it. This is the most important, though. Job search math. The more people you know that know you plus feel a need for you equals the better the job and the faster it comes. So you can call it networking. You can call it whatever you want. Job search math. Add more people into your network to feel a need for you. Marinate in your expertise. Every day of every week, you should be focusing on what can I do today to get another decision maker, influencer, or connector to marinate in my value, my unique value proposition. Trade value to get value in return. So I'm going to take you back to that lava group. Remember I told you about that prong, the influencer crowd? I targeted a company. I targeted a really big company, and I couldn't penetrate them. I wanted to work for them badly because they had a pain, a current business mission that was aligned with my brand. I could help them right now. I could be a scalpel for them, a specialist that they could use to soothe their pain right now. I couldn't penetrate. But I did understand an influencer that could get me in the door. I did understand how that would work, at least. This influencer was a large venture capital firm that had a very diluted investment or interest in this really large company. And I knew where these guys showed up, at this VC. So I showed up where they showed up, at LAVA, the LA Venture Association. And I had the executive director of LAVA introduce me to one of the portfolio managers at this big VC. And we started talking, and I shared my value. And this guy was intrigued. And then he brought me into his office, and I said, look, you still have an investment here. This is how I could help you with this investment. And they were fascinated. I said, would that be worth a conversation with the C-suite at this company? They said yes. I was able to parlay a warm intro from that VC into the C-suite at this target company into a job offer. I traded value to get value in return. You can do the same. Now, I don't want you to show up and just network at places. And I think what people think of when they network is that if you're a marketing person, to show up at an American Marketing Association or Direct Marketing Association, or show up at a chamber and drink some bad white wine and tell people you're looking for a job. That's not networking. I call that not working. That sucks. I never want you to do that. I always want you to drive people to you. Build your legend. You have the ability to build your legend fast, to identify the thing that you do so well, and to promote it offline and online. And if you read my book, again, you'll figure out some of those strategies, or you can call me and we can figure out strategies that work for your personality. People will say to me, well, don't you just have a formula? Don't you just have set strategies that I can just follow, like A, B, C, D? No, I don't. I have a framework. I'm taking you through it right now. But the strategies are based on you, your unique personality, your geography, the level of job you want, your industry, market trends, all that stuff. It's all based on you. Anybody that's got some magic formula about building your legend or getting you out there in a way that would make all these people crazy to offer you jobs, if it's the same thing that everybody else is going through, it's not real. It's not good. And if you're doing this stuff right, if you're building your legend correctly, you will do what I did. And I wasn't even aware I was doing it when it was happening. When I was going through my job search and branding myself and getting people to chase me, I developed a fan base, mostly venture capital and private equity firms. These guys still reach out to me. I haven't run staffing since 2004. These guys still reach out to me every single year. They want me back in the game because they remember the legend. They remember the brand. It was that strong. And I just take about an hour, 2, 3 hours a year to water it, just to touch base with these guys. Really important stuff, because intellectually you understand that you may get a fantastic job, and that fantastic job may actually turn out to be not so fantastic when you get into it. Maybe you were sold a bill of goods. You want to be in this job search again? No, you don't. Developing an evergreen brand, being known as the guy or the gal that does this one thing the best, critical. Again, read the book. You'll figure out some strategies for that. Success framework, LinkedIn. Besides looking at resumes, the second biggest request I get is, will you look at my LinkedIn profile? And it's not that big of a thing. It begs the LinkedIn profile. I had a record. I spent $1,500 on a LinkedIn guru, and I know more than that person does about LinkedIn and how to leverage it. That was disappointing to me. But I had somebody I recently worked with that spent $5,500, 5500, $5,500 on a LinkedIn profile redo. That's insane. Now, the background picture was gorgeous. I think it was Sonoma. Gorgeous. And I guess some of the verbiage was nice, but what is it? It's a rest stop. There are no CEOs looking for you on LinkedIn. Why would you spend all that money on your profile? You think that there are CEOs, that there are decision makers looking for you on LinkedIn? Not ones you want to work for. People will find you on LinkedIn. Contingency search firms, those guys don't make any money anymore. Let's see, people that want you to sell life insurance or supplements. Yeah, they're all over the place. Former colleagues, sure, okay. But that's not the thing. LinkedIn is a brand platform. There's 400 million people on there. It's a traffic machine to your unique value if done right. You have the ability to build your legend through LinkedIn. When I say build your legend, you think, oh, that's going to take time. It doesn't. You can do it through LinkedIn. You just need to control your audience. You need to corral decision makers, influencers, and connectors. Allow them to marinate your expertise. If you're offering solutions to people that have a pain, a current business mission or mandate, hey, you don't do it this way. If you leverage this and you go here and you do this, you'll actually mitigate the risk. You'll amplify the opportunity. If you're offering strategy to somebody, what are you doing? You're architecting your next job. You're about to convert a job offer that's being created for you and you alone. And that's the heart of the job market. LinkedIn provides this powerful platform for you. Think about it. It's not about your LinkedIn profile. It's how you leverage LinkedIn to get your brand out there. Again, strategies in the book. Don't do this alone. Find an accountability partner. It can't be a friend. Cannot be a significant other. Can't be a relative. It's got to be a colleague that knows you professionally, but is not emotionally attached to you, that you believe is really, really sharp, that you can check in with every single week to make sure that your job search is being driven correctly. Will it be perfect? No, it won't be perfect, but at least there's somebody there that can help go, okay, does this make sense? Does that make sense? Oh, that was a success. You can't see success in your job search. It's the hardest thing. I couldn't see it. I couldn't see the ripples in the water. I couldn't see momentum because I was always looking for a home run. There are no home runs in a job search. So you really need an accountability partner. If you can't find one, reach out to me. Don't spend $10,000, $25,000. Don't spend huge bucks on your job search. Yeah, tax write-off. Okay, fine. But anybody that promises you that they can get you some job, like the gray job market, I hear about that one a lot. There is no gray job market. There are jobs that are advertised. That's 3 to 5% of the open jobs out there, and the rest are filled through networking and referral. Jobs are created for people in mind that fit within the corporate culture and have the requisite wins to achieve the business mission. That's the job market, not $10,000 or $25,000 of magic. There's no magic. You got to hustle. So don't focus on dumb stuff. If you validated that the job boards don't work, what you did on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, none of that stuff works, pivot. Use that energy for good. Figure out new strategies. You will make mistakes. I made way more than you'll ever make. And again, it was embarrassing. I didn't talk about this job search stuff for years because it sucked. And I was sad that I couldn't conduct a successful job search, and I was the penultimate corporate staffing leader. It was embarrassing. You're in control now. You can decide what you do tomorrow to take massive action, to focus on that job search map. That's good. Now talk to me. You need help? Talk to me. Book through my site. Happy to chat with you. I won't even talk to you about my services, although there's a link to them. I won't even talk to you about my services unless you ask. I will treat the phone call like you extract whatever you can from me. Let's go for it. Enjoy it. And if you decide that you want help, I'm an honest dealer and I can get you hired. That's my brand today. I get people hired. Now let's talk about some of your questions. Again, if you need help, go to the website. You can reach out to my assistant, Chris. He responds really quickly. I thank you for watching and listening. Again, read the book. It's helpful. I didn't write it for my health. I give away my intellectual property. I give away a lot of it. As you know, please enjoy it. Use it. I don't write these books for me to read. I want you to read them and enjoy. Okay, I've got questions from Jane, Mark, Matthew, Leon, Jill. Okay, Jane, what is too old for the job market? Well, listen, if you're asking that question, you believe you've been aged out. And every other person I speak to will tell me about their age. And they're telling me this because they believe they're being aged out. They believe that there's some age discrimination, and it's true. Ageism is alive and well. Anybody that tells you different is being disingenuous. How do you combat ageism? You combat ageism with unique value proposition. If there's somebody that's 30 years old that's got a skill set, and there's somebody that's 60 years old that has unique value proposition that can immediately solve a pain for an organization, they need this thing, they're going to hire the 60-year-old person. Now, you may reject that, and if you reject it, then get on the phone with me, and I'll show you how your value needs to change. I promise you, if your value is strong and it aligns with pain, CEOs want to hire resources to help them with the current business mission or mandate. They're not going to turn away a resource that's going to help them with their bonus. I promise. So yes, it's alive and well, but you can combat it if your value is strong enough. Mark, can you make career transitions later in your career? Absolutely, but it's got to make sense. Here's something I get a lot. So I'll talk to somebody on the phone. I'm a pragmatist. I believe in high probability, not possibility. And I'll get somebody and they'll come to me and they'll say, look, I worked in, I don't know, consumer goods, and I want to go sell medical devices. Can you help me make the transition? No, I can't. That's improbable. Could it happen? Sure, but it's not probable. You want to make a transition that makes sense. So if you're a controller and you want to become a CMO for a company, a chief marketing officer, it's probably not going to happen. Could, but I don't feel confident that I could make it happen. I want stuff that makes sense. Like if you're a controller and you're making a transition from the chemical industry to consumer packaged goods, yeah, that's distinctly possible. Now, people like candidates from their own vertical, but is it possible to make a transition? Yeah. Is it possible to change jobs? Yeah, but it's got to make sense. And if you want to talk to me about that, Mark, we can get on the phone. I can tell you about some ideas and maybe even some jobs you haven't thought of. Matthew, the gray job market. Well, I just talked about that. There is no gray job market. There's jobs that are created for people in mind, and then there are jobs. If you see job postings and you're not getting, you think, oh, I'm perfect for this, you don't get a response, that job posting may be a posting so they can comply with being an equal opportunity employer. A general counsel, as it was in my career, would say post everything, whether it's open or not, to stave off liability. There is no great job market. There's no magical secret job market. Companies want to hire, especially at the leadership level, they want to hire people they know. If you think that you're going to come in cold to be a president for a mid-cap company, doubtful. They're going to want to hire somebody that they're familiar with, that they're comfortable with. They're going to want to make sure that you're a specialist at what you do. Even as a CEO, the specialist CEO is alive and well, and they're going to want to make sure that you can fit within their corporate culture. Really, really important. Got to get your brand out there. Leon, talk to me about headhunters. Is that still a thing? Well, they exist. If somebody calls you and they say you're a search firm, the first question, they say they're a search firm, excuse me, the first question you ask them, are you contingency or retained? If they say contingency, that should be the end of the call. That's just a fishing expedition. Those guys don't do business anymore. They don't make money anymore. Companies don't need to spend $30, $40, $50, $60,000 to hire you. It's the mandate of their corporate staffing department to find talent. And again, at a leadership level, they already know who they want. So no, that world died. LinkedIn, you can also thank LinkedIn for that. It's too easy to find talent. If they say they're a retained search firm, then it's real. It means that the company has paid them a portion of the fee up front. So it's real. And you can go down the road, but I would first ask who the client is. If they don't tell you who it is, I would question it. And they may be replacing somebody, but I would still question it. Okay, last question, Jill. Transfer into pharma from telecom. Well, I just answered that, didn't I? Is it possible to go from a constricting industry like telecommunications to pharma? Gosh, no, it's not probable. And also, why? Pharma has been constricting. It's not fun. We do outplacement for Merck. The backbone of our business is outplacement. And no, why would you want to make that transition? You're basically going from one constricting industry to another. No. Jill, you got to talk to me, girl. There's something better out there for you. I promise. You just don't know what's out there, but I probably do. If you have more questions about your job search, you can email Chris at info@sucklessjobsearch.com. Thank you so much for being part of this webinar. If you have any questions, any questions, even if it's related to the book, shoot them an email. Please enjoy that book. Read it. There's great strategies in there. And if you need help, I promise I don't bite. You can go to my site, click on the scheduling app, schedule some time with me. Again, I won't talk about my services unless you ask. I treat these calls like you can't get access to somebody like me. Use the time. I'll give you whatever I can so you can be successful in your job search. Have a great evening, and I wish you a short and fruitful search.